Maxime, aka Brandon. This is episode 71 of the Anime Dojo. I'm alongside Chris and Deon. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
Doing fantastically wonderful today.
Good to hear. Good to hear. This episode's going to be interesting because we have a couple little news stories to get into. We have Jump Fest 2025. They kind of talked about what's going to be happening with that, who's going to be there, kind of things. We're also going to mention My Dress Up Darling getting a live action adaptation. We'll get into that because it's kind of different. Uh, because I don't know. We're getting a lot of live action things now. This is the first like big one I think I've seen from a bigger anime. Um, but then we'll talk about the charts for this week, and we'll go through the episodes. Dungeon People episode 8 and Shy episode 21. Um, let's start off with this. There was a My Hero episode. I did watch it. It was actually pretty well done. I have to give them credit. They've gotten to the point where I'm kind of feeling what they're doing. I have to give them also the credit because they're now finally doing the one thing I wanted them to do for the longest time. They're giving another villain a backstory, and a villain that we see a lot of, we don't know much about, and it's the guy that looks like a crocodile, basically. Kind of seeing how he got brainwashed by One for All, and the fact that he just focused on trying to help these people, but at the same time, he didn't really believe it till this point. And at the end of this episode, he really kind of gets this, like, I will say, not creep factor, but he gets like this. He gets overly like red and angry, and he's almost just at the point of like breaking. It it really showed how they're really trying to build this up to where this next couple episodes for battle stuff is going to be fun. Um, Chris, have you caught up with My Hero? If you have, if you had caught up more episodes, what do you think so far as we talked about kind of last week?
Okay, so I still have not caught up, but and honestly, I haven't been able to caught up. I've been had a busy weekend.
Mm-hmm.
However, I am still anxious to see where they were going with this. Like the last time I was watching, they were starting to pick up. Like they were still fighting, but at the same time, they were getting to our major villain.
Yes.
To more of his backstory, to kind of understanding why he's in a predicament he's in.
Yeah, and I think with the crocodile character, I forget his actual name in the show. He finally gets a point of emphasis, which I think the thing is with My Hero, I always feel like My Hero always focuses on the heroes a lot. Outside of Toka, the girl that can take other people's bodies to their powers, she was focused on a lot. The guy that could multiply was focused on a lot. But everybody else, villain wise, was kind of not really focused on. They were kind of just there. This is the first time I really noticed that they're really trying to focus on the villain. They're really trying to give the villain everything. They give Shigaraki a lot. Shigaraki is probably one of the villains that they give a lot to, but he's one of the main bad guys. I don't know. It just feels like they're finally picking things up quicker, and I just kind of feel like now, and even with this episode, I feel like it more now than the previous. I don't mind the breaks in between, but I think if there was one less break, they took 3 breaks technically. If there was one less break in between the episodes, I think it would be more beneficial for the pacing, because the pacing's still it's still slow, but it's getting there. I wonder with the movie coming out at the end of this year in October, I think it's what it's supposed to be coming out around October, November time. Who's next is what's going to be called. I don't know if that's by that point, once the season 7 is going to be over, we'll answer any questions we would have from the prior season or in between seasons. What do you think about that, Chris? Do you think that's going to be the big telling point for this, how this ends up, and what we get from the movie Who's Next?
Well, see, the movie Who's Next, I wonder what place it's going to take place in, because it depending on what's going on and how our story ends, we we'll know more. But see, I believe when it came out in Japan, it was right before they started this big battle. So if it takes place then I'm okay with it. So I
Okay,
would
so
like to see what kind of meaning the movie has on the ending of the series.
you think it takes place between 6 and 7, basically.
Yes,
Okay.
basically, yeah.
Which makes sense. If that's the case, I'll be fine with that. Do I kind of wish we had got the movie before season 7? Yes. I don't getting it after the fact will be good context if we're continuing the My Hero series, because I can't think they're going to finish out the series in one shot, one season. We're going to at least have 2 more. So it gives you a stopgap. Deon, if you have caught up, what do you think about this last episode and the conversation me and Chris were having? What do you think about the movie that's be coming out in October, November time, and where it's going to be kind of placed within that 6 and 7, between 6 and 7? Do you think that's going to kind of help kind of flesh out a lot of this story?
So I'm actually still trying to catch up actively. Um, but I will say that the movie coming out, I feel like it's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect timing for the movie. I feel like it's going to have the same effect that all the other movies did, which is more so a story you could that answers questions more than it leaves questions. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not gonna be something that impacts the storyline we're focusing on, but just kind of feed into it.
Okay. I will say, I think with the charts, and I'll say this with all due respect to the charts, I think My Hero would have been higher ultimately if it would have started in a by this point now. If this has already had this, if this part of the anime would have already been gone, had already been started and passed through, I think the anime would be higher on the list. But it doesn't. It always hovers around the like 6 to like 12 spot. And I don't know if that's because people are slowly falling off My Hero, or it's just a simple story with very simple, with a plot that's not that interesting. Couldn't really tell you, can't really explain it. What do I see for the future of this show for My Hero? I think it's gonna get really good. It's gonna become really interesting really fast.
Oh, it's definitely gonna get good.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about that. I think it's just kind of funny because I think if it's any time else in the year, spring, if it was in the springtime or if it's in fall, it would do a lot better. But it's not doing well in summer because we have all these dramas and other things hitting pretty well, which is outpacing them. I would give this episode like a 7.5, 7.8, somewhere in there. It's not terrible. It's above average. It's a good enough episode to where you get more story and background stuff. There's still a little fighting in there.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I will say, the only fight I think goes a little too long is the Shigaraki fight, because the Shigaraki fight is long. Like the Shigaraki fights already span like 4 episodes.
Yeah, but it's like one of the main fights.
It is one of the main fights. I just think it's funny because now we're getting more of the fight with Deco being a part of the fight. And I think that's why it feels long to me. But Deco needed to be there to make the story make sense. So if Deco wasn't there and they continued to fight without him, it would feel tedious.
They have to go through everybody's growth arc,
Correct.
Bakugo and
Correct.
Venus, and all of them had like a little growth aspect to them. And now it's getting down to the meat and potatoes.
We'll see what happens. Before we move on to Dress Up Darling, I'm gonna ask Chris this because you've actually watched the show and I thought about it. I haven't started yet myself. You said Tomb Raider. You said that Terminator was really good, Chris. What do you think about the first couple episodes
of Terminator?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, the entire series is an A+.
Oh, is it all just one shot?
Everything's out. Everything's
out. Wow.
1 through I think 8.
Yep.
Okay.
1 through 8.
Okay. I forgot Netflix does everything in one shot. I do totally forget about that.
This series was beautifully done from start to finish.
Okay.
And I mean,
even if you don't like it,
you don't like it because you haven't seen it. and you probably
I have seen it.
probably
I'll say
okay,
I'll let you finish your thought before I bleed into it.
okay,
So go ahead.
okay. So to me, in my opinion, this was beautifully done from start to finish. The elements that they took from the movies went well. They blend, bro. Watching the series from episode 1A was like watching one long Terminator movie. And I mean, and if they would have made this into a regular movie, to me, it would have been no difference. And then the things that they touched on in the movie about humanity, it was like, yes, where is this being in a battle between humanity and AI? And they really put it in there, and they really did some thought-provoking themes in there. It was, yes, to me, this was a perfect 10.
Okay. Okay. Deon, go with your point. I want to hear both sides of this.
So I'm not saying that I don't like it. I'm just saying that if you don't like it, you can't argue the fact that this was done well. This was a good adaptation to how you take a already thought out process, whether it's a movie or a cartoon or a game or whatever, and turn it into an anime. This was I wasn't looking for it more as content. I was looking more for should this be called an anime? Should this be a cartoon? And honestly, if I didn't know what Terminator was, like at all, I would still be able to enjoy this as an anime.
Okay.
Suicide Squad, take notes.
Ouch.
This
Ouch.
No, that's not even nothing to laugh about. Like
No, you're
this
right.
was,
You're right.
for
You're
real,
right.
and like Chris said, this is a 10 out of 10. I still have my gripes with it because I'm the gripe king. I'm gonna make a shirt that says I have gripes. No, but um, it still was watchable to the point
Mm.
where it's like, okay, I need to finish this. I'm gonna keep watching this, and I didn't
I
get a
am
chance to go
curious to hear your
all the
gripes.
way through the end. Huh?
I am curious to hear what gripes you had with it though,
I
because
just
I
give you one. I just give you
okay.
one. I The way it starts and finishes, like you said, it's like one continual movie, which is fine if that's what you're going for. But if you're trying to go for anime episodes, I need a clear start and finish. I need something that's
Mm,
going to dictate the next phase of the chapter or the point, the thought process. And with a
Mm.
lot of it, it just seemed like it was on. I watched 3 episodes without even realizing it was 3 episodes.
Oh wow.
yes, yes, that's how it works.
Like,
So in a way, your gripe
and each
is
episode is
off.
long.
The funny
Go
thing
ahead.
is, your gripe is not necessarily a derogatory a
It's not.
derogatory.
Like I said, even if you don't like it, you still can't argue the fact that it was done well. Because just because I personally don't like that doesn't mean that it's not a good feature for what they were going for.
Yeah.
Well, okay. In that case, then you mentioned the fact it feels like
Okay,
you didn't.
Brandon.
No.
Before you go, I have something real quick just
Okay.
for our fans.
Go ahead.
To me, this anime was better than some of the more recent Terminator movies.
Ooh.
Ew. Ow. Wow.
Wait.
Well,
Wait.
okay. I can't blame him there because I know
Which
some.
Terminator movies?
So the last couple, not the older version.
Terminator Salvation in particular.
Yeah, that
Oh
stuff.
yeah, no, that's not even canon.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Those movies. I knew where you
No,
was
it is,
going.
but it's like, yeah. Once you start getting into the TV show and the like out of three,
I think the anime was better than the TV show, but
oh
the TV
definitely,
show is a closer runner up though.
yeah, the
The TV
TV
show
show
went
was
off.
decent.
Yeah.
TV show was decent for what it was and for where it was hosted. It was like TBS or
But
something like that.
right, but sorry, Brandon. But
No,
yeah,
you're good.
because we
You're
cut you off.
you're totally fine. I was gonna ask this. Y'all, Dion brought up the fact that he ended up thinking the episodes didn't have a good start and ending point. but he ended up watching 3. So I have to ask
Not
this
that it
though.
wasn't good. I just
No,
wanted something more precise and clear cut. That this is
yeah.
where.
So it ended. Is that a good mark of an anime when you know you can literally just you're not even feeling like you're watching anything anymore. You're not watching just a episode by episode. It feels like you're just watching straight through. Because ultimately that tells me if you're watching straight through like that, the story is gripping. And that's the thing I was gonna be interested by the most from you two talking. It seems like the story is gripping enough to where you're going to continue watching because you want to find out more, even though
I
you
mean,
don't know where the ending and the beginning is.
I'll say it like this. I wouldn't put that on this makes a good anime. This is a marking of a good anime. Because it's almost like having a conversation, and the part A of the conversation, even if part A of the conversation is interesting, it's still only half of the conversation. You can't end the conversation in the middle of a sentence and then you start it over in the next episode. You start the sentence in the next episode. I kind of have to watch it because I'm trying to listen for the full sentence. You know, um, with this one, Mecha Arms did it too. Mecha, what's the one we
Mecha
watched?
Udon. We watched that anime
Mecha
Matsuri. Okay,
Udon.
yeah.
They did it too, to the point where even a person who pressed play did not realize it was both episodes in one.
Oh yeah, because even I remember Chris mentioned
And
that.
that's where like that's where it's like, does this mean it's a good? No, it's just it's nothing clear cut to say this is the start, this is the finish, this is a transition into the next episode.
Okay, it's
Like,
interesting you bring up Udon. Sorry, to cut you off, Chris. It's funny. I remember Chris mentioned with Mecha Udon, he hoped that it was going to come out where it's a one long episode with 45 minutes. I think this is where we kind of get back to the conversation we talked about weeks ago, where we talked about do anime need to start doing longer episodes, 30, 35, 40 minutes to get you that first episode, the first 2 episodes across. It's interesting because you bring up the fact they didn't know it was one episode in Matsuri, but that's if that was the way it was made without the intro and opening, we didn't see because we probably was not done, something of that nature. We don't know. I don't mind it if you can keep the story concise. If the story is not concise, then it can fall apart quickly. Chris, go ahead. By the way, I'm sorry I cut you off.
what I was gonna say is that that's one thing that Netflix is known for: bingeable TV shows. So I wouldn't. In a way, I agree with that. It's not necessarily a mark of a good anime because most animes have when the episode is going to finish, and it kind of leaves you a cliffhanger
Yeah,
in
there you
that
go.
no ending that puts you into like wanting to watch the next episode, that
That
cliffhanger.
eagerness to watch the next one.
Right
Yeah.
now, see, when it came to Terminator, bro, it was almost like, why stop? If you have the time to watch it, you're going to keep watching it.
Correct.
And like,
So
I didn't have the time.
yeah,
I had to
because
stop because I had to go somewhere. And I was
exactly.
like,
So
dang, I feel like I was stopping in the middle of a movie. And
yeah,
I hate pausing in the middle of a movie.
so for Netflix, this was gold. This is what they do. This is a good Netflix. This is what they do.
Okay.
So this is what would we call top tier Netflix.
Okay. All right. See, y'all speaking on this gives me hope now for Tomb Raider. Because it's also going to be Netflix.
Well, I never had doubts on Terminator.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
But okay, y'all
This
did
is
it.
doing what we expected to do,
Yeah,
right?
but yes, yeah, right. You're right. But here, I had doubts because I'm wondering how they're going to handle the source material. But you're telling me they basically handled it like anything else. They're handling it like a movie. They're going to keep it rolling without really affecting the material. The one thing we've also noticed in this anime season, this season and the season prior, I don't know if y'all caught this. Have you noticed more shows on Crunchyroll, and even High Dive does this, where they'll do the mid-credit roll thing, where the credits will roll, but then the episode continues for like another 3 to 4 minutes, and it's like, wait, we just saw credits.
Oh, you're talking about when they show the credits while they're showing the conclusion of the episode?
Correct. Or they show the credits, we show the conclusion of the episode, or something that's going to kick into the next episode. It's just like, okay, is that just going to be a new trend now? Because I've seen it more now than I've seen in the past.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just anime is trying to finish out. Explain.
I don't like that because it feels like you're trying to squeeze in extra content within the time limit that you have instead of just making a longer anime.
And that's the point.
Like you're like, oh, I gotta make this anime within 24 minutes, so let me squeeze this little extra piece in, and it takes the creativity out of it, and it just makes it look lazy. Honestly,
like Brandon, I have the perfect analogy for you.
Go ahead.
But it's not even an analogy; it's more of a dare. At the end of the podcast, I would dare you or challenge you to watch one episode of Terminator, just one episode.
All right.
If you can make it through the end of the episode without like having the desperate grip to watch the next episode, then you tell me.
Fair. I agree with that.
If you can make it through the end of the episode without realizing you made it to the end of the episode,
that's the part.
And that's the thing I'm kind of interested by now, because I think it's a mix. It's a double-edged sword, as they say, because you can do a show where it has really decent, good pacing, and it just flows well into the next episode. Next thing, no problem. But then you have, like Deon said, he doesn't like when episodes do the whole mid-credit roll and then we get the back half of the episode or into the next episode because it feels kind of lazy. I don't know what's going to be the next trend, because I think we're going to trend more into the second one, not the first. I think a lot of anime studios can't do the first very well enough because it's harder to keep something cohesive. Because the other thing we see a lot of is recap stuff. We have a lot of recap stuff from a lot of beginning animes now that recaps the previous episode or recaps the current episode.
10 minutes.
We can get down that rabbit hole. We're not going to, but I'm bringing this up because it's interesting to hear y'all reaction to Terminator, because that tells me Netflix is rolling again in the right direction. And that also,
I wouldn't necessarily say Netflix,
but you know what I mean. Netflix is getting it right.
I'm just teasing. Y'all know I don't like Netflix.
Which is fair. I don't want. Only reason I have it, my parents have it, and I'm watching it for that purpose. You know, that the anime is the only reason I probably would watch it myself.
Yeah.
I think it also feels like for them, they are getting another win. One Piece was their first win. This is probably their second true win. And it's actually a decent win for them. So if they start finding other anime they can put on there, I think they will really flow very well into the next couple seasons. We'll see. I mean, it's going to be something. And I accept that challenge, Chris. I will absolutely accept that challenge and see how long I can last. Because I'm probably going to be wrong. And I won't last that long. Because it's going to be based on what y'all told me.
Well, here's the warning label now. Don't end up watching the entire show and then be late for work tomorrow.
I will not do that. That I'm not going to do.
He'll be getting dressed for work, eyes glued to the TV.
You know me well. I don't do that.
I don't know, man. That show is hard.
The only one that actually did that to me in the past couple months is when we were at Missouri and we watched Halfman Hotel. Because Halfman Hotel is that one of those ones where I'm like, okay.
If that caught your attention like that?
That caught my attention because the way they handled that story.
Terminator.
The characters, all that, you know.
I don't think you're going to last.
Terminator gonna have you laying under your bed with a flashlight staring at the TV like.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what y'all think about the Terminator series. If you have been watching it, what's your thoughts on it? But let's get into this. My Dress Up Darling is getting a live adaptation. It's only in Japan for right now. That is the thing we have learned. Outside of that, we don't know much else about it. It's interesting because I don't know. It could work. I could see it working. It's not it's not the one I would probably pick for a drama, but it is one of the few where I could see people understanding it if you did it live action. Deon, I'm going to start with you first. What do you think about My Dress Up Darling getting a live action adaptation?
As long as it doesn't go to Netflix, we're good.
It's not coming to the States for a long time. That's a guarantee.
Yeah, so this actually sounds like a passion project versus a money project. So it sounds like something they want to do as a company. It doesn't sound like something that they're feeding into this new live action hype, which I could be wrong. Everybody could just be following suit and trying to get in on this live action hype that One Piece started. Even though One Piece wasn't the first live action that was out, so I don't understand.
So,
but, yeah.
According to this news article, it's coming out in October. Announced for this October. Crunchyroll will get it for the streaming side. It is going to air on TV in Japan.
TBS. It'll be on Japan's TBS.
Yeah, Japan's TBS, not our TBS. I agree with you. I don't want to see. It sounds like a passion project. I don't think it's a bad thing if the passion project. I'll let Chris answer before I do the rest of this because I think there's one big thing I'm kind of iffy on. Chris, go ahead. What do you think about the fact that My Dress Up Darling is getting a live adaptation?
So, Brandon, me and you have watched the series. And I mean, the series is about a 7.5 and on its best episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm kind of really surprised to see it get one. So, which kind of puts a better idea to what Deon was saying. You know, is it kind of you can tell it's going to be more of a passion project. But with that being said, I myself am not a huge fan of the live actions that have come out of Japan. So with that being said, I probably won't watch it. Somebody would really have to convince me to watch it.
Here's the interesting thing. I'm gonna say this right now. I have the sticker of her on my PC sitting right next to me on the side of it as the main girl character. The funny part is,
Marin?
Yes. I like
the
yeah. I like the character. Cool character. Funnily enough, the voice actor who plays her in the anime, I also know who she is because she's a streamer, which is interesting. She plays the voice well. Here's the thing I'm worried about. If you're gonna make this live action, and we've seen it, one other show they've done, Crunchyroll has, and it's not even a show technically; it's a stage play. Giant quotation marks. Hold on, put it there. Demon Slayer had their stage play, which has been shown on Crunchyroll a couple different times. I've watched part of it. Interesting. I agree with both of y'all. If this is a passion project, I'm cool with it. The first comment I saw on Twitter, by the way, from Anime TV on their comment section was, please, if somebody goes, please do not make everything into a live action. Well,
Yep.
This is that trend very quickly when you're making this into a live action. My hunch right now, we are going to get, and I hate to say this, the next one I think we get, if this works out, is Oshinoko.
That's already in the works, buddy.
We can't do that. We can't do that. Don't do that.
Is it already in the works?
Don't do that.
It is.
Okay. So I assumed. I kind of assumed it was, but I thought, yeah.
I'm boycotting.
Because I could see the top 10 list from the dramas the top 10 we're going to talk about from today. I can at least see 3 or 4 that can literally go live action, just because it has the ability to. And that's the thing. Dramas are easy to make live action.
Yeah.
Most dramas are easy to make live action. Most action anime, most shonens are not.
You know, it was supposed to be an easy live action.
What?
Death Note.
Yeah, that's not easy at all. Death Note's Death Note's a very complex show, dude. Yeah.
Bunch of school kids and cops. It's not.
But the point of Death, like the premise of Death Note,
It's Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
But it's a
But-
reason why Death Note is banned in Japan, so we'll put it that way.
Oh, yeah. That's the same reason they could never make what's the one that you showed me? The one with the alien dude from the high school. The yellow guy. I'm drawing a blank.
Oh,
Assassination Classroom.
That's why you could never make Assassinated Classroom.
but they are making assassination.
You can make Assassination Classroom. Why not?
I thought they couldn't because of the way it
It is banned. It is also banned in Japan, but they're still talking about doing a live action.
They're still talking about they're still gonna make
But
it. It's not gonna be shown in Japan. That's okay.
It's a Netflix live action.
Netflix live action.
98% of the animes and mangas are banned in Japan.
Which is kind of also kind of the weird part about that. It's also kind of weird. Half the stuff that's made is banned. So,
I mean,
I,
Korea too, but that's just how it works.
yeah, it gets that level
They
now.
ban pornographic, they ban murder and stuff like that. America bans learning.
Oh, ow.
But
We're not going down that road. But I get where you're going. I will say too, do I honestly believe that we're gonna get a bunch of live action in the next 5-10 years? Yes. Do I honestly believe all of them are gonna be decent? No. But
none of them are gonna be good.
do I think a couple of those will be shonen? Absolutely. I think there's gonna be a few shonen here.
I mean, we got One Piece.
Outside of One Piece, I think we're gonna get Attack on Titan eventually because Attack on Titan announced
That's gonna be hard to do. That's gonna have to have a big budget.
That's gonna be hard to do, but they have talked about doing a new project in 2025. So whatever that is, we don't know. I think Demon Slayer is gonna be one eventually because they could do that. That's a big budget, but they could do it. You could do Soul Leveling. You could do Kaiju number 8. You could technically do a bunch of different ones. The thing is, you need to find the right actors and the right scenery to do a live action to make it make sense.
No, you don't just put whoever in there and just be like, yeah, Luffy's from Taiwan, bro. Let's just do that. Tanjiro, yeah, he looks Japanese in the anime, but he really from like Africa. So you can just get anybody.
I
make
think
sure
the thing
you put on your best African accent, even though that's not how you really talk in the world. So
I think
make sure you do that too.
He's being partly sarcastic. Here's the thing. I think it's interesting because the one show that got reamed for it a long time ago, and most people forget this because we don't talk about it now. Remember when they did live action Ghost in the Shell and Scarlett Johansson was playing the lady who's supposed to be Jack, and everybody was so mad, but yet
they didn't know who she was though.
Which is fair.
But even Scarlett Johansson really didn't want to do the role. She was just paid a lot of money for it.
And let's be honest, she dope.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because you have to find. I think that's the other thing that the kind of the crossing of lines is the fact that you have to find the right people to play those roles. And I'm not saying they have to be based on descent at all, but if they can be, use them. That's the one they figured. That's the one thing I actually have to give Shang-Chi credit for when they made it for Marvel. That's what the one thing they did.
Yeah.
So I just hope if we're gonna get a lot of live action stuff, they really try to keep them within anime lore a little bit. I'm not asking to be 1-to-1 perfect because there's no way you're gonna be 1-to-1 perfect. This is gonna be an interesting adaptation because I think one, is it worth it? Two, does it have a reason to be there? And three, is it going to be something that people are going to gravitate towards? If you're a fan of My Dress Darling, I think you'll watch the first episode. I think most people will try the first episode. After that, if it's not your thing, you'll just walk away from it. I'll ask you both this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how successful do you think Dress Up Darling will be? And I'll start off with Chris for this.
A 4.
My Dress Darling live action. How successful do you think it will be on a scale of 1 to 10?
A 4.
Ooh, explain.
Not a lot of live actions coming out of Japan do well. Like okay, because when you even look at their big budget cinemas, they still don't come out like something I would just watch all the time. So and then for the anime itself to have already had only been a 7.5 to me, and then you add the fact that I don't really care too much about it, like it is going to get a bad score.
Okay, that's fair. That is very fair. And that's the thing. You've seen the anime, so have I. So I kind of see where you're coming from with that. Deon, what do you think? What do you think about this? So with live action come out, what would you give as a rating on how well it's gonna do when it comes out?
See, when you ask how successful is it gonna be, I can only ask, what do you mean by success?
So what I term as success is I don't assume viewership because Crunchyroll don't keep all those numbers. We know that. I'm gonna say more in terms of, and it's gonna be kind of weird how
It's gonna be good or not.
Like good or not, but also engagement. For me, I'm looking at like Instagram posts about it, Twitter things about it, that kind of stuff. If the engagement is high, is that a mark of a good show?
I feel like it's gonna be just as successful as the anime was. The anime has its own fan base, like it really does.
It does.
It has its fan base, but it's not. The fan base isn't mainstream. The fan base is a fan base that's as big as, say, Demon Slayer or JJK or something like that. So for this to come out, it may be successful, but we'll never know about it.
Okay, that's actually a really good answer. Actually, I have to give him credit for that.
It'll be something like 5 years from now. They'll be like, "Hey, y'all remember that show that they had put out about the my dress up darling? Y'all remember the anime turned into a TV show?" And we'll be like, "Yeah, nah, I don't. Let me watch it again. Let me see what. Let me check this out again." And then it'll probably get famous 10 years from now.
Okay. I can see that. I can see both y'all answers aren't off base. I actually agree with both of y'all in that point. I think it's between a 4 and like a 6. And I will stick with the 5. I'll go right in the middle. I agree with Chris. The show was kind of okay, so 7.5 for most of the episodes. That's one of the couple highest episodes. But ultimately, the big thing with the show, I think, is going to be like Deon said. We won't hear about it much because it's a small fan base. But I think it's one of those things. I kind of disagree with you on this point, Deon. You compare the fan base to JJK and Demon Slayer. I think it's more comparable to something of like.
I mean, in opposition of, not in like they're as big as.
Oh, okay. Opposition. Yeah. Opposition wise, if you had a JJK or a Demon Slayer live action, those
you would hear about that live action a lot more than you would about this one.
I think the thing is, if they can make a bunch of these isekais or dramas mainstream live actions, they can do it easier than trying to do a JJK character. And that's a scary thing because we could see more dramas get more popularity over time than a JJK or a Demon Slayer will get after it's over, because the word of mouth for the dramas would be different because it's still going on in another form where these will be stopping at a point. I don't know. Do I want to see something else down the road? No. But would I ever want to see, and I'll take one off this list, off this chart, hide my feelings in Russian? No. Would I want to see 2.5 Dimension Seduction? Yes and no. Yes, I would love to see how they would do the costume stuff for that show, would do the cosplay side of it.
Oh, sure.
But the story side of it is the thing. I'll be like, how are you going to make that interesting? That's the part I'll be like, okay, huh.
You know what,
Difficult.
Brandon?
Go ahead.
If you really want a live action for anime just to take off, other than Netflix, let HBO do a version of High School of the Dead or High School DxD.
High School of the Dead.
But see,
High School of the Dead.
here's the problem with that.
Because it's still real world based.
It is real world based.
Yes.
There's a couple things. One, the scene that everybody knows about from High School of the Dead. That's one of the most iconic scenes from the episode, from the show.
But that's
Also,
nothing for
HBO though.
That is HBO.
That's nothing for HBO.
That's nothing. The other thing is, in that case, I would be cool with that. There'd be one other issue I think you would have to explain. That's the same problem with Ghost in the Shell in the sense of who would you have play every character? Because
Bro, you can do an American version of the same show and it'll do just fine.
It would absolutely.
I mean, you could. There's billions of people in Japan. Billions.
Yes, there are.
What are we talking about here?
And that's the funny thing. I agree with both of y'all. I think the Ghost in the Shell thing was stupid. It never should have happened. But yet, that's the thing that people. That's the thing I'm kind of interested with this. I think if with my dress drawing, I think that would be funny to see if they got somebody who don't act, which shouldn't matter. Yes, but I would agree. I would love to see High School of the Dead, High School DxD, something of that nature.
Some of these K-pop artists and throw them in.
Yeah.
Anime live action, they would love it. Absolutely love it. Get Stray Kids and dump in it. There's like 20 of them. They could be the whole cast. There's in any K-pop group, there's like 20 members.
There are.
Get 17 and Stray Kids and put them in the movie and boom, you got the whole cast for High School of that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the reason I brought up this topic is it's just kind of interesting to see another live action hit the stage, basically. And we're getting one now that's not a One Piece thing, something more drama based. And I think the other thing about dramas we've seen in the charts, dramas are easy and they're very simple to watch. Simple, but not always interesting to try to figure out. We'll see where it goes. We'll see how it ends up. But ultimately, we go from that to something a little bit down the road. We're going to talk about Jump Fest 2025. So this is actually really interesting because they put this out a lot earlier than I thought they would. Usually Jump Fest doesn't happen this quickly. I know they don't even talk about this quickly either. So it will be held on December 21st and 2nd, 2024. It's 42 titles across 4 stages, including Chainsaw Man, Spy and Family, JJK, One Piece, My Hero, Bleach, Dawn to Dawn, Blue Box, Demon Slayer, and a bunch of other things. My question to y'all is, and I'll start off with Chris for this. From the stuff they put out in this tweet, and this tweet was from let me make this make sense. Anime News. What do you think is going to be the biggest talking point from Jump Fest? I'm assuming Demon Slayer from that list, but do you have another thought, Chris?
Bro, you're talking about Jump Fest. There's going to be so much going on and so much time. It's literally going to be a introverted person's nightmare.
Why do you say that?
Akon on crack.
Oh, geez, yeah. Well,
Yes.
yeah, you're actually right. You're probably right.
Because I mean, did you not hear what you just said? You're going to have how many shows on played on how many screens simultaneously?
42 titles across 4 stages.
Bruh, you tell me what you think is not going to happen there. I'll challenge you.
Yeah.
So in other words, you asked me a loaded question, so I replied with a loaded question.
I think
My next question to you is: are we going to this event or not?
yeah, if there's any way we get to Japan by December 21st, that'd be hard to do. I mean,
Not that hard.
not that
I'm a
hard.
good booking agent.
Not hard. But here's the thing. I thought Jump Force in the past was only for media. It wasn't for fans.
Mm-mm. It's always been like a screening event, like
Oh,
a
screening event. Okay.
basically like a Acon
Okay.
without like. And I'm not sure if they have vendors or not, but I'm
We
sure they
did.
do.
Yeah, we did. I've been a couple of years. They have, and we've had screenings before. They've shown stuff off. To answer your question back, Chris, the only thing I don't think we do see, because this list doesn't include like soul leveling. So far, there's more on here, but I don't think we see like soul leveling. I don't think we see kaiju in this because we just have finished the prior season in October. I think the other part of the question for me, what actually gets release dates? Because in the past, I know last year's one, we had a lot of release dates. I think we're guaranteed release dates for like Chainsaw Man, JJK, and at least Demon Slayer. If it's Demon Slayer is going to be at Jump Fest, that also guarantees us, I'm assuming, could be wrong, I don't think we get the first movie till 2025.
No, I still think the movie is still coming. At least the first one. If it's not coming this, in November, December, that's when I think that's coming.
Okay.
It may get played at Jump Fest.
That's the other thing. That's why I'm thinking. The first movie gets played at Jump Fest, then it comes out in 2025, the beginning of 2025. So within like a 3 or 4 month period. Deon, do you got any thoughts?
Dandadan's gonna be a big one there. People been waiting on that for a long time,
That's
even after the leak.
Okay, yeah, that's the one that got leaked. Okay,
Yeah. As well as I didn't see it on the list, so I'm curious. But I wonder if they're going to have something with Dragon Ball Super, or
I would have based on the key art.
since
It's
they're talking
based,
about the manga is coming back.
based on the key art. There is you
Right.
see the main character from Dragon Ball on there. So I would assume yes. Is that to that question?
And that's why I'm like, if they have some release information on that, that's gonna be huge.
But it's also funny, like on that key art too, you see Bleach stuff, you see Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, Kaiju's actually in this. Never mind, I'm wrong. Kaiju's in this key art. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
oh wow. So there's a lot of people. Okay.
There's a lot in there.
A lot of people in here from the key art. Even that top character above the Kaiju character that looks like the guy from Hell's Paradise. Looks like the guy from Hell's Paradise, but I could be wrong. I don't know, because like last year's Jump Fest was crazy because we got so much release stuff back to back to back on those 2 days. We knew about a lot of stuff, manga wise, anime wise, and just in general. I'm worried now because that tells me if we're getting a lot of information now, fall or winter, either winter or spring it's gonna be insane the next year. Because winter would overly
Blue Exorcist
is on
Sorry,
there.
my bad.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. That just means winter and fall are gonna be stacked, which is kind of crazy again because
Brandon,
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I'm surprised you never responded to in my messages was the fact that they had Solo Leveling season 2 coming out this October.
I didn't respond because I'm like, we're also getting a trailer in like 5 days, according to some reports. So I'm like, I'm waiting to that trailer come out to see what's going on here. And I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. I started listening to the audiobook again. I'm through like the first couple chapters of the second book. Like, I'm on that kick of like, I'm ready to see what they do next for Solo Leveling. The scary thing is, I need to see what we're going to story-wise and how it's going to look. Because ultimately, to me, Solo is one of those ones where I love the story. I enjoyed the story. I thought it was great. Perfect. The thing was, for most of the major anime audience, the only reason people came to the story was because we got the armored fight halfway through the season that ended throughout the end of the season. That was what most people reason came by. The thing with Solo Leveling is the story. How are you going to make that story interesting where people can continue coming back? The fight's a big thing. I get all that. I do. But I think that's the other thing about this list. And it's funny with the Jump Force list. I think it's funny. Solo Leveling's on Kaiju's on the list. Kaiju, a lot of people like Kaiju for the fight, but they said the story was kind of lackluster. And we talked about it. Or not lackluster, but the story didn't have any cohesion. But also you have Demon Slayer. People say Demon Slayer is
I
super...
talk to people who love the story of Kaiju.
Yeah. I like the story. I think the story is fun. It's gonna be one of those things where I'm hyped for all stuff we're getting announced for. I just need to see trailers and kind of understand where you're headed.
Let me ask you this then, Brandon. Have you heard anything negative about Solo Leveling since the end of it?
No. No, and I also... Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I haven't either.
I haven't.
Story-wise, action-wise, nothing.
I think the thing is, I think Solo Leveling's in that weird spot where it's not from Japan, and that's why it's doing as well as it is. Same with, I think Kaiju's technically not from Japan. It's not a Japan-based. But ultimately, I think the other thing why I think you're hearing good things, you're not hearing bad, but you're hearing a lot of good, is because I think it sparked people to go find the manga, sparked people to go find the webcomic, sparked people to do this, that, and the other. I'm trying to temper expectations. That's the thing. I don't want to be overhyped for something that I have, but I do that I actually care about and enjoy. I think that's the other thing about this anime season. I think kind of got a little bit weird. We got a lot of overhyping for things, somewhat. And the one I think the one that's gonna have to kind of fight back that is My Hero, because My Hero got overhyped a little bit with season 6 being so good and interesting. Season 7 kind of started off really slow and it had to pick up. But I think people still enjoyed it. But also people are also tired of the superhero genre to a point. I don't know. I could be wrong, Chris. I did see all that stuff when you texted me, but I just didn't know how to respond because I'm like, I want to say I'm really excited for this, but also I don't know. I don't know what I'm really looking at yet. I don't know where it's gonna be.
Well, see, I think I'm getting my excitement because I didn't read any of the information, the mangas, or nothing like that.
Right.
Because so I'm just excited for this new season because there is a new season.
Correct. And I think that's the odd thing. It's weird. I don't read a lot of mangas. I try not to. Outside of a few, like I've had the Demon Slayer series. I'm listening to Solo Leveling. I haven't read Spy and the Family. I love Spy and the Family, just a show in general. The reason I don't read a lot of manga is because I don't want to spoil myself when the anime comes out, but also I don't want to get over expectations of like, oh, this is how they did in the manga, this is how they should do it in the anime. No, not gonna happen like that. It's not gonna be a one-to-one comparison. Never will. But we'll see. I mean,
One Piece is close.
One Piece is the closest. Like One Piece is one of the closest ones that do a one-to-one comparison pretty well. It's just like I think that's the other thing about like manga readers, anime. They always say manga readers and anime watchers are so different because anime watchers don't know what's coming up from the manga. Manga readers have already seen everything or has been disappointed from the manga when they get to the anime. I kind of wish that wasn't a thing, but it is. Yeah, we'll see what happens with this Jump Force. I'm going to be really interested to be focused. And that's funny. That's 2 days before Christmas, or 3 days before Christmas, oddly enough, based on when they're having it.
Bro,
So,
get all your gifts and send them to us.
like we're getting a lot of news before Christmas, so it's going to get some people hyped. That's actually kind of interesting. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll be more interested to see when we get release date stuff. How's that going to all pan out? Who's going to be carrying what? I think we're going to figure out who's going to carry what show as well. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Let me know what y'all think in the comments about Joke First 2025. So be looking around for the 21st, 22nd of December to kind of get that news and stuff. But let's get into this. Before we get into Dungeon People episode 8, let's get into these charts, because these charts are actually very interesting. At 1, we have Days with My Stepsister. At 1, went up 4 spots. Ocean Yoko dropped a spot to 2. Too Many Loser Heroines dropped a spot to 3. Wands, Wisteria, Wands, and Swords went up 3 spots to 4. Hide My Feeling in the Russian dropped a spot. No Longer Allowed in Another World went down 3 spots to 6. Pseudo Harem went up 8 spots to 7. Fairy Tale, 100-Year Quest, when it came back into the charts at 8. 2.5 Dimension Seduction dropped 3 spots to 9. And The Elusive Samurai went to 10, dropped a spot. Deon, what do you think about these charts?
Well, it looks like for the most part everything is stagnant. The only reason why there's movements is because Pseudo Harem moved up and Days on My Stepsister moved up. Like, yeah, Wisteria moved up a lot, but it's been in the top 10 for a while.
Yes.
Or at least around the top 10. I'm just glad Oshinoko is like taking a plunge.
I mean, it took a 1 spot plunge. Not really like not like a 10 spot plunge, but I see what you're.
It won't be a Beyond Journey's End. It won't take that number 1 spot for every single week.
No, it
It
won't.
can't do it. It's been knocked out of that. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Everything is so typical now. Like, I haven't seen Pseudo Harem, so I can't speak onto that one. But that's a big jump.
Me and Chris watched Pseudo Harem, and I'll say this: we kind of I don't know if Chris agrees with this, but we watched the first couple of episodes. We kind of like we knew where they were headed, and it felt like they're playing with the same trope, but using 2 characters. I will say this now. It's kind of gotten interesting in the sense that they've done the thing that we called, and it's like, okay, we knew where you're all going. Chris, what do you think about this chart?
Okay, so I've heard Days with My Stepsister is quite wholesome, so I might end up giving that another chance. Nobody, Oshinoko, I'm not on season 2, so I can't really say too much about it. Too Many Losing Heroines. I've only seen one other person say anything about it, so Wisteria top 10, bro. As I look at this chart, shout out to Fairy Tale, because Fairy Tale is low key one of the old
it down, right?
So, I mean, unlike what we haven't seen in the last 2 seasons, this chart is kind of solidifying.
Yeah,
It's not really doing too much movement at all.
Very much so. I have to give 2.5 Dimension Judges credit. It stayed in the top 10 for last couple weeks, and oddly enough, it's on High Dive, which is even more insane to me. That's crazy, but also, like I said earlier, it's one of the few shows where it does the cosplay thing very well. So if you're a cosplayer or understand cosplay, you'll like the premise. That's when I have to give Loose Samurai the same thing. Loose Samurai, great. show. I think it's so cool to see how it's done. It's like old timey, kind of like not the black and white style, but they kind of do that black and white style a little bit of like samurai, and it works really well. It's funny if I go through 11 through 20, you're gonna be kind of interested. My Hero at 11, My Dear Moments at 12. I don't know which one that is. That Time I Got Reincarnated Slime was at 13. Mission Yokohama Family is at 14. Failure Frame is at 15. It finally moved up a good amount of spots. Spy in the Family is at 16. The Cafe Terrace is at 17. Tower of God is at 18. Why Does Nobody Remember Me in This World is at 19. How I Become Ordinary is at 20. I Perry is at 21. Any other notables? My Dear Friend Nokata is at 23. Strongest Magicians and Demon Lords Army was a Human is at 27, which I think that should be higher. VTuber Legends at 29. Mocha Punch is at 35, which I think ultimately should be a lot higher. Man, Shy's at 36. I think it should be higher, but I don't think it should be much higher than my Mocha Punch or VTuber Legend. I think the story is still kind of convoluted for a little bit. We'll get into that. Other than that, by Irvis 39, I think that should be higher. Dungeon People should absolutely not be 40, but that's Plus Ivels is 47. Yeah, those are the other big ones we've been following. I don't know. It's weird because I don't. My Hero only being one spot. My Hero being only one spot from the top 10 is also just kind of odd, but I get why it doesn't hold up for a lot of people. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think Dungeon People not being that high is not according to how good it is, but how many people are actually watching it right now.
Yeah,
it's only on High Dive.
Yeah.
It's already a slept on, like sleeper type of anime, not too publicized. So it's it's kind of under wraps.
Yeah,
but y'all know what I was thinking,
Mhm.
and I probably said this before, but there's only so many top 10 spots you can have.
Yeah, it is hard because
because like you said, Failure Frame is easily a top 10 anime, but so is about 20 to 30 of those animes on that list. So it's like, how do we judge what should go above what? Nor do I believe Anime Corner is doing a good job of that. It's just so many different charts out here that say no.
Yeah. Chris, give me the other chart. Before you do, I'm going to say this. It's always the question, and you bring up a good point, Deon. It's the question of when people say, who's on your Mount Rushmore? And it's interesting because it's usually the question of who's on your Mount Rushmore for sports, music, or who's on your Mount Rushmore for acting. That's a hard question to ask somebody when that usually only deals with 5. Not 10, 5. But you ask somebody who's their top 10 best players or top 10 best musicians or whatever, it gets even harder because that's even, 10 players, you might know more. But yet, that list is long. You could put somebody there like, oh, wait, they go there, but it's hard to make it a top 10 list of something that you can really narrow down your opinion on something.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And I think that's the other thing. Corner does an okay job, but we're also about to go in the chart for the from Reddit, and you can tell the differences so minorly. Chris, go ahead.
But actually, I'm going to opt to skip this one because now that I look at it, that's actually the one from last week.
Okay.
Oh, so it's not the current one.
Not the current one yet. Which I would have figured it might not because of the holiday, right? Is that probably why you think?
Probably.
Yeah. Which is fair. You probably won't get the exact numbers yet from that. I don't know what you could do to make these charts like more intuitive. Because we talked about this before, I wish we had the numbers from
Yeah, you would need
Crunchyroll,
viewer numbers.
like Crunchyroll
You would need
numbers,
viewer numbers and ratings.
which Crunchyroll gets rid of the ratings and they get rid of comments and other things because it kind of got a little bit toxic. Giant quotation marks there, which I don't believe. But yeah, I don't know. It's something where I think it's hard because everybody has different opinions about the season and everybody has different opinions of what they like. Like you said, you can put like 20 anime on the top 10 and it would be no different. But let's get into Dungeon People. I will say this right now. We're only in episode 8 of Dungeon People, and yet this show has probably done more than I thought it could have done. In the sense that I think it's one of those ones where the story is interesting, the characters are fun, and yet they do a very good job of telling you basically old adage, and this is adage, telling you how the sausage is made or telling you how this is done, and yet they're not overly giving it away to you. They're just kind of showing you to it and then letting you see other things around within the world about it. We only have 4 episodes left after this week, so it's going to be really interesting to see how they're going to end this off. If we're even get a season, maybe get a season 2 announcement at the end of this. But in a second, I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Gentlemen, you ready?
Almost.
All right, no worries.
Dungeon Pete. President. There we go.
Oh no, my controller's about to die.
You have your phone charger?
Hey, you can plug into that. That's right, because it's USB-C.
Yep.
I haven't even connected that one yet. I don't have a cord to connect it.
You should be good once we run the episode. I don't think it's gonna.
Yeah, no, I don't know how to work an Xbox.
You can always go out the website too. You can just log in that way.
No, it's up. Like it's ready to go.
Okay, no worries.
I was just making a statement.
But I'm ready.
All right,
But I
in
was
3,
about to connect this other controller.
2, 1, go. Episode 8: Remodeling and Employment.
Yeah, I got it synced.
Nice.
I thought I was about to turn it off.
That would have been tragic.
Yes, very much
Yeah,
so.
it would have been bad.
I will say, still one of the best openings of the year. Actually, it's funny. This is probably the first time in a long time we haven't got, because usually Crunchyroll has already done, or not Crunchyroll, Anime Corner has already done this list, and we haven't got this list yet. We usually get the list of what the top openings and closings were. None of them really have stuck out like I thought they would. Not a lot of major ones.
None at all.
But I have to give them credit. They are using a band for this. I like how they use like horns and stuff and not just drum set and guitar.
Oh yeah. Like I said, reminds me of that '90s,
Yeah.
like a Nickelodeon show from the '90s or something.
Mhm. So you can just change the level of floor of a dungeon just by remodeling it. I literally think how to build when you build a building or build a house. Huh. Okay. That's very interesting.
It kind of reminds me of The Sims a little bit.
Yes, that's the other thing it reminds me of. Have the Sims vibe where it's like you can really do anything with the world.
I can see you now. Sam's Dungeon. Sam's Dungeons. Yep.
If we ever got, I don't know if Sims have done an update in a long time, but yeah, that'd be an interesting update. You could,
I think the last thing I might have heard about Sims is that I think they were working on Sims 5.
mhm.
I wonder why she hasn't put on her other suit again.
Oh, the one that the guy made for her, right?
Right.
I'm assuming it's only for combat.
Maybe.
Do they not know the monster's strengths and weaknesses? You draw lots. That sounds kind of not great.
Wow.
Let me get detailed information about everybody. Oh, let's go with lots. I love that. What happened there? Did she go in a trance for all of a sudden?
Now she just come through some realizations.
Uh, the what the world? Are we going to the void?
Yep. In a little while, you might even see Dormammu fly through there.
Well, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, that's real creepy.
What the world was that? get along with her. You kind of were trying to. Never mind.
Phrasing.
Oh, light, water, fire, air. Okay. How is a slime the most dangerous monster?
They're usually the most versatile.
True, they are most versatile. All right, that was episode 8 of Dungeon People Remodeled and Employment. Chris, I'll let you do the review for this. Let you go through it. Go right ahead, however you want to do it.
I had to step away for a quick moment, so could you go ahead and take it this time?
I can. I will say this episode was interesting. They do talk about the fact that we see how a new dungeon level is made. They show you the fact they go through the process of she gets the dungeon level, she lets our main character, Miss Clay, make it, and it's kind of hard for her to make it because Miss Clay asks all these questions. She's trying to figure out, hey, how do you reorganize the monsters? And she says, our main boss lady or administrator says, I use lots, and she's like, lots, but what about and all this other thing? So she finally makes a stage. She's like, okay. Then our Ragnar Rock kind of says, you're missing things here and here. Ultimately, the big thing with this is that once they finally figure out the final product, they go to this place, and basically it takes 2 doors to get this place. One door to get into the place like proper, and then another door to get to one door to get to like the little area where the place is, and then one more door to get to the actual place. Our administrator Bell basically mentions that the dungeon runs right against the spirit world, and this spirit world is kind of interesting because it's a spirit world of like fire, earth, water, mainly the main spirits, and they help our administrator, the boss of this dungeon, build this floor. And as we got through this more and more, we kind of figure out that Clay was kind of creeped out by this, but she kind of gets over it. Usually takes a lot longer. Then she gives the plans to Ragnarok. Ragnarok starts building the floor by using this special hammer that he can improve his thoughts with. And the last thing we see the Miss Clay and the administrator go to this crystal to delete the old floor and add the new one. But also they go to all the dungeon monsters and they pick numbers of where they're going to be placed in the dungeon. So like you hear a couple monsters, oh, we're at number 5. I'm also number 5. And you hear one guy ask, what's it say? I can't really read it. He says number 10. And then you see 3 more monsters kind of talk together and they go, oh, can we start training together to build a combo attack? And it's really interesting how they did this, ultimately leaving us with at the end, Miss Clay says that was smooth how it worked out. I'm surprised that worked out so well. And that's where episode ends. I'm gonna start off with Deon for this. Deon, what do you think about this episode? Because this episode is very fun and very interesting.
I'll say this.
Okay.
So this episode really went into a deeper explanation of the possibilities of making of an anime dungeon. And I mean they beat around the bush about the way that this dungeon is made. But that also gives you the ideas of where the other ones are, how they're made. Because when you look at how Slime design is, it was entirely different, but with this show, it still makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I like this show. I mean, so far they've done a really good job of trying to be thorough.
Yes, they have very much so.
Yeah.
Deon, what's your thoughts about the show?
I mean, it's a very utility high episode. One of the more calm episodes, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
We don't learn too much about the character or anything like that, like we have before. Getting to the actual storyline, I want to say. But
Mm-hmm.
for what we do see and the growth that we see within the actual settings and scene of her workplace, you see her getting more involved and hands-on with things. It's actually giving good slice of life, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not a
Yes.
big fan of slice of life animes, unless they're like, you know, the time I got reincarnated or something like that, where it's only technically a slice of life anime. But this it's giving joy.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot. I did forget to mention about the whole slime thing, but that was kind of like a longer part within the story because they talk about how the slimes are made, and like you brought up Chris, it was interesting because they really went in depth. Like, oh, the slime's actually clean, but why do you have the slime clean? Because it's easier. It's like, no, it's just their. That's how they're programmed to do things. That's what they're known for using, and it's
And
just
they
like
and they also mentioned that particular slime was created by the dungeon master, the original dungeon master.
correct. So that's what the purpose was for it. Um, yeah, it was. I will agree. Slower episode, slower paced episode, but still got a lot of stuff into it. A lot of slice of life, a lot of stuff that kind of just builds in that story even more. Um, go ahead and get up Shy episode 21. But before we get into that, we'll get into it in a minute. I'm gonna start off with Chris for this. Chris, what would you give Dungeon People episode 8 for a rating?
I'm gonna give an 8.
Okay.
This episode was really well thought out. I do wish you would have had an action at some point, but I understand they had to kind of slow it down to give it context. But overall, it was still good.
Deon, what would you give Dungeon People episode 8 for a rating?
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with Chris. I was gonna say like 7.8, like a 7.5, 7.8. I'm a little lower because I love learning about our character, at least. Even if the episode doesn't have as much action and stuff like that, I'll still want to learn about our character. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't really get too much of that in this episode. So other than
I,
that, everything is well put together and stuff, so there's no complaints there.
I think with this episode, I've kind of figured out this episode had a lot to be desired because I think it did a good job of telling that story, um, but also um, it also did something I didn't really expect because the other thing it did was that it really fleshed out how a dungeon's made to the point where we've seen an actual floor being made. That's even the interesting thing. We've got every part of a dungeon, how a dungeon's made and how a dungeon runs to this point, and yet usually that would be very boring. In this case, it's not that boring. They've made it interesting, they made it work. Ultimately, I would have to give this like a 9. I do agree with Chris in this sense. I do wish we had a fight, but I'm not going to really be overly upset when you're giving a story like that. So that's a plus for me. We'll see what episode 9 does. We'll see what the rest of the series does. It's going to be an interesting series because there's not much. There's not much left you can really talk about. This is really kind of interesting because you could, if we get a season 2, where do you go from here? How do you finish out season 1? Do we even get more about her dad? Because that plot line's still kind of up in the air. Clay's dad, by the way, up in the air. So, like, there's a lot they could go with. It's just kind of depending on how they want to tell the rest of the story. But overall, not. I think it's one that I think people should go back and watch. If you haven't started watching it, it's one that's worth a watch pretty easily. But let's get into Shy episode 21. This is getting kind of interesting now. I don't think it's getting to the levels of what Dead Death Play got to, but I think it's finally picking into that story of like what's going to happen next. Because now we're getting the thing of her, the two sisters merging. We're getting to that final fight with Shy. We have a lot to kind of work off of. But in a second, I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Gentlemen, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Let go.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Virgin.
Vague.
Oh, vague. Sorry. So we get a backstory to start off this time around. Wait, are you mentioning Yin and Yang?
Yep.
Oh,
I mean, I said that long. Never
you
mind.
did, but they've actually referenced. You did say a long time ago, but you referenced. Oh, creepy. Oh.
I feel like this is a Zorro reference.
In what sense?
Just the style that he uses his techniques come out as.
Two sword style.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Now, if she throw a sword in her mouth, we fighting.
Yep.
Yeah, that not happening. So wait, was this a trap?
It was a trap the whole time. We knew this.
But it's funny. This was like
They knew it.
they knew it was a trap. They knew it was a trap, and yet they followed through with it, and now everybody's about to get knocked out. Huh?
They ain't had no choice. Still gotta go save everybody.
Yeah, that's
Whether you
true.
know it's a trap or not.
It's gonna be interesting because this means now Shy has to handle this on her own. No other help from across any of the other heroes at all. Even though Sentry is supposed to be running in there to try to help him, even though the guy Ninja Guy is supposed to be. I'm gonna sit there and explain that whole fact.
Yeah, I wonder if they even get to that this episode.
Probably not. It'll be a couple episodes. This is 21. We only have 3 episodes left.
Is it wrong that I'm hoping that this has a epic conclusion so I can finally get some kind of
It's not wrong, but it's also kind of hard. Like I talked about earlier, with the superhero genre being kind of weird now, it's not holding that people's attention as much as I think it would normally have from the first season. Man, that voice is creepy. The mix of the two voices.
dang.
Well, that was quick and.
That happened. Yes.
Oh, jeez. Oh, shrimp not shrimp saw that happen. Oh. They went dark.
Woo-hoo. Is this actually about to get good?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, he's happy right now. This is not what I expected. Wow.
Y'all bet not save her.
Oh, she gonna wake up. We know this already. This is already planned. This is kind of planned.
Yeah, but there's gotta be some
Hmm.
inner power from within type deal. You can't come save her.
Wait, that's their master.
Dang it, they just made it bad.
Oh, what did I call that? I called they were doing the whole Wakanda, like literally the spirit world realm kind of.
Like, how he even know her?
The sword went in her stomach. And the
Well,
sword
no,
has
Good.
remember when she gave her the sword to hold in the earlier episode?
yeah, so it gives
The sword knew all her information,
correct.
but the sword ain't him.
The sword is him.
That's the sword.
Yep.
That's the sword.
Oh, it is the sword. Okay, so it's not. So he said my village, like he live in there, like he the chief or something. Uh-oh, she finna start wielding the katana.
The hell?
Oh
All right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Let's go.
Um.
If this ain't giving Bleach vibes right now,
How she block that?
the
Whoa.
sword.
This is the last episode of Shy. This is the new episode, Fierce.
So the bracelet and the braid and the bracelet and the sword are combined through with her power.
She bet not that sword back. That's her new weapon.
Don't count your. Yeah, I'm about to say. Oh,
Yo, this is giving Blue Exorcist meets
this
Bleach meets
this is
Inuyasha vibes.
this is giving like Dead Mount Death Play vibes a little bit. My word.
With a slice of Naruto. No, or maybe Kaizen?
It's yeah, it has a Kaizen vibe to
So basically, it's looking like a good anime right now.
it. Wow, wow. That's a yeah. Well, yeah.
Mm.
What?
Dang it.
They gotta make it a good fight.
Nah, bro. Nah, it's finna start. It better not start wavering her confidence and stuff. Okay, speak on it then. Rivers waver just like it's like you read my mind, bro. Go
They
ahead,
answered your
speak
question
on
right
it
after you said
then.
it. Ah, jeez.
Even the sword was like, don't waver.
The skipping rocks. That scene that comes back into play. What? Oh, all right. What? Well,
Well, all right then.
whoa. What is that sword?
That's her Bankai.
I was just about to say,
Oh. Mm.
like for real, that was a straight up bunker.
Tell me you're a Bleach fan without telling me you're a Bleach fan. Let's put Bankai in our anime.
And we're just not going to acknowledge what it is.
Right. Like it truly looks like Ichigo's blade, bro.
Like,
It's just
bro,
charaded like his Bankai is.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. Come through with the good fight scene. Is Shy about to get a rating over a 5 from me?
ooh,
Oh. Why is the sword being the voice of reason right now?
because you never watched Bleach.
I
Yeah.
have not, but
Oh goodness. This is a complete Bleach episode right now.
So basically, the bracelet has the power of a spirit bomb.
yeah. Okay. What the? Their village. By the way, why is that katana so huge?
There's two ways to explain it.
Oh well, we saw this scene.
Yep.
But she was talking about the bear's mother. That's kind of interesting.
Now, see, this is where all the budget for the show went into that fight scene.
What? Huh? Okay. I'm confused. I'm still like, where is this take?
Bro, all the animation for this episode went into the fight scene.
That
As
I
you can tell.
get. That I get, but it's funny. It's reusing those assets to show us other parts of this things we've seen.
Exactly. You got to understand both sides of the story, though. Ooh, come on with the My Hero.
Wow, that isn't a true statement sometimes. All right.
This is the My Hero storyline.
It is the My Hero storyline. It is that straight up. So she killed the bear and the mother. Oh. Oh, that's a creepy line. Great.
Deon.
So
Wasn't that the pastor's sermon the other week?
what?
Talking about people being lost to themselves?
Honestly, I don't even remember, bro.
Okay.
I ain't gonna hold you. I know it was about joy, finding joy in yourself, or something like that. I don't know.
Fair enough.
I barely remember last week, like this Sunday.
That's
Nothing on the
fair.
sermons. It's more on my memory.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right. It's a whole Bleach episode. Yep, down to the T.
Here's my thing. I'm gonna say this with all respect, but like, what did we just watch?
A Bleach episode.
I get what y'all are saying, but here's the funny thing. I don't disagree with it, but it's just like the story they just told right there is basically a way to say Shy and the combined girls were this evil. They were half of each other's heart. Yet Shy couldn't do it alone with just her power. She got the sword, and the sword helps her through this. Then the sword guides her through the past of what had happened with the girls and everything that's gone on through older things. And then the fight itself was just insane because the fight just kind of gives you the context of like, this was like, don't be down on yourself. Do this. You got this. You have more. It's just like, okay, what? And then from that point, after we get the fight, we go to all the flashbacks, and then the flashbacks end with this last scene with one of the sisters and the other sitting in her lap holding her head. And the sister pretty much goes, take her, save her, save the world's heart, and save the future. And then that door closes and the other door opens. They go back to the battle with Halloween back to normal, fighting her sister as an evil entity. I'm gonna start off with Chris for this, and then we'll go to Deon. Chris, what'd you think about this episode? Because this episode was insane.
Okay, so let me. Okay, this makes me think. This makes me think all of the budget for this whole season went into these last few episodes.
Could have.
Like, because I mean, y'all gave us all of the slice of life, then the boring battles that made almost no sense. To finally we get something here at the very end, and it's like, what, bro? This isn't even the same show right now. Like, they did a full 180, and it's like, y'all been like, how much money did y'all really need to make this whole show an action-packed show? Like, for real. Because obviously, I feel like somebody in the studios their feelings got hurt, and then they was like, "Yeah, we gonna withhold your money till the last episode." So yeah, I'm gonna withhold your episode till the last show. That's the way it almost looks like.
Deon, what you think about this episode?
Honestly, I'm a little perturbed, peeved, even.
Explain.
Like, yo, wait, like, bro, you get good the last episode. You made me watch all of this. For lack of better words, trash. These like uncohesive fight scenes and crazy conversations during fights to give me a Bleach episode. And y'all know how I am about Bleach. Like, Bleach or One Piece is like top tier for me. And to be able to compare it to that, I mean, very, very minimally. But I'm impressed. A little bit, kind of. You know? It's like watching a toddler make a straight line on a piece of paper for the first time. Like, it's good, but it's still not Picasso. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's fair. That's fair.
it's like,
It boggles my mind, and Chris might be right. Chris might be fully right. Which, if he is, I will never hear we'll never hear the full story. We'll never get to see what actually went behind the scenes. But it does feel like you held the money to the last couple episodes. 21, 22, 23, and 24. And yet 21, it feels like you could have done this for the rest of the season. It would have made more sense to have the budget behind it. Because this covers a fight, the rest of a backstory. We get to see the rest of the bits and pieces of a reason why she did all this, why she felt like she was alone, all this stuff, but also giving Shy more characters. Like, huh? Who? What? What happened? What happened to where y'all waited this long? And yet, it's actually kind of funny. Because Chris, do you remember with Dead Mount Death Play, the last 4 episodes did the exact same thing?
Yeah, like okay, like somebody give this either the studio the more budget or these series more budget, because right now this is almost unfair.
Hell's Paradise.
Yes. Hell's
Yeah,
Paradise did with the last 4 episodes they had. They ended
and
up.
somehow Hell's Paradise ended up on Netflix.
Yes, it did. I did see that.
Hey,
Uh,
Netflix is trying to jump in the anime game deep.
sure they are.
For real.
They trying to take Hulu place.
I'm wondering
Hulu
this
better
question.
place?
I'm wondering this question as the rest of y'all are probably wondering, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm gonna ask it. Let's get into it. I'll start off with Deon for this. Deon, what would you give Shy episode 21 for a rating?
I'm gonna give it an honest 6.
Okay.
Not
Explain.
even just a 6 compared to the rest of the shows. It's almost a 10 compared to the rest of the shows,
Yeah.
the rest of the episodes. But I'm gonna give it a 6 just because even though to me the story and the cohesiveness is still trash. Um, the budget for this episode clearly went to that fight scene. It was such a good fight scene that if that was all I ever seen of Shy, like if that was the poster for Shy, the teaser trailer, and I'm just seeing that, I'm eager to watch the next episode. I'm like, yo, let me catch up on this, and then I'm gonna start watching it and remember that this is all trash. So
Chris, gonna ask the same question. What would you rate Shy episode 21 for a rating?
Bro, this episode is gonna get a solid 7.1 from me.
Okay. All right.
Like, y'all feel like y'all drugged my eyes through the mud to get to this scene, but it was like finding water in the desert for this show, for this season. Like, bro, like I personally had been hoping and waiting for it to turn around because it was losing me. I was like, no, don't be another mash. Don't be another mash. Shoot, don't even be a Suicide Squad. Like, come on. And then they show me this episode. It's like, yes, bro. Do you know what it is? Feel like to finding like a cool breeze in a Texas heat.
Mm-hmm.
That was this episode.
Wow.
mm.
Oh, okay. All right.
wait. Cause that cool breeze of the Texas heat ain't finna last long.
Oh yeah.
Please,
That's also true. That's also true. I,
it's here and then it's gone.
It's fleeting.
I I have my deal. It's weird because I have a dilemma, and I've championed this up to this point because I thought it was decent. Literally, you've done the thing where this episode has blown out every other episode in the season, and yet you did it with one fight and a couple lines of one fight, a backstory, and a bunch of good dialogue that put it over the edge. Here's the thing I'm gonna say, and it's the thing that boggles my mind. Ever since we got the Shinobi dude, and ever since we got the backstory of this other sister, this reminds me of the fact when we got, and damn my death play, this is actually where I'm gonna get this example. When we got the shinobi dude from the family, and that was really skeptical of our main character. But also, this also kicks off when you got the reporter girl, and then the cops got him. The other characters around Shy are more interesting than our main character. And yet this episode does it really well because our sisters are more interesting, the shinobi guy is more interesting, the rest of the evil cast and the rest of the hero cast is more interesting. But the thing that puts it over the edge for me is the sword. And yet the sword has the most dialogue and gives you the most context for what's going on. How? I don't even know because it doesn't really make much sense. But he's the voice of reason. He's the one trying to pick Shy up. He's the one showing Shy what's gone on in the past. He knows all this history. He's seen everything from the beginning to the end. That's the thing that kind of boggled my mind because if you think about the sword gets introduced a couple episodes back and it knew Shy already from just holding the sword. I kind of wish they would give more context of how the sword knows all this stuff, and she kind of does. Aoi does. But it felt.
Well,
Go ahead.
like y'all said during, they explained that beforehand. Like I thought that was her father, like reaching across from
Mm-hmm.
the other country, but when y'all let me realize it was the actual sword, they explained that second episode of us meeting the ninja girl
Yep.
was like the sword knows everything about whoever touches it, and she started naming stuff off.
But I think
Sword
that
is like reads your heart or something like that.
yeah, the heart means more, the gauntlets mean more, all that stuff. Here's the thing that boggles my mind also with this, and I think it's the other thing I didn't really get. And I've always said this with Death and Death Play, and I'll say it here with this. With Death and Death Play, you had episodes where the dialogue doesn't matter, and a show pretty much tells you this dialogue doesn't matter. But in this episode, and they'll tell you things from the past matter. So it kind of does the old Devil May Cry thing where episodes from the past matter because it connects to other things. This show didn't do a good job of that because you thought the sword was the dad until me and Chris remembered, oh, no, the sword is the actual sword that can know things. But if you just think it's a one-off thing that just kind of randomly happens in the previous episode, in that episode we meet the second episode we meet the Shigome girl, it doesn't make sense because it's like, wait, huh? How can it? Does it have some special? And then now we get the context of, oh, it had a special ability and knows everything it's been through. It's seen everything. It's seen things. That's the stuff I'm kind of like, that context was missing because we didn't get it well enough.
Yeah.
But yet it works. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they get to make it work. You have to be focused on the details, and the details weren't as strong here. The details in Demon Death Play are strong. The details in anything else I've watched are strong. Hell's Paradise. It's just the details didn't work here. But yet, honestly, for this episode, I have to give this like an 8. An honest 8. Because it works. Am I going to be disappointed with seeing the next episode? Probably.
Most likely.
Yep.
Because you sent us on a roller coaster ride on a high that I don't think you can keep up unless you're just going to, the last 3 episodes are going to be banger after banger after banger, and it's just going to keep hitting. Because how are you going to end the story off? You're ending the story off by Shy killing her sister. You're ending the story off either by that or you're ending the story off by she curing her heart.
Nah.
The second one's the
Yeah.
most likely one that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
They
how
go like, oh, okay. You know what? I do really love my sister. I'm sorry.
How we getting there? I don't know. How they're gonna make it make sense? I don't know.
I already know how.
Go
I
ahead.
know how. Shy's going to stab her with the sword. The sword is gonna start talking to her like he's talking to Shy right now, and then it's go pure. Because remember, his name is Purity, so it's going to make her heart
Purify.
pure again. Yeah, it's gonna purify her heart, and thank you, because it's gonna purify her heart and make her be like, "I'm so sorry. I never meant to do it."
But you know that would be the lamest ending for a show.
But you
This-
know it's gonna
It's
be
the
that
shy
way.
we're talking about here.
I get it. I
That's
get
the
it. I
only
do.
way it's gonna end.
I do. I get it.
This is Barney and superheroes. They be like they gonna walk off holding hands into the sunset singing "I love you."
Yeah. Yeah.
Either that or kumbaya. Shoot.
Man,
It is sad, and I'm gonna say this with all respect. 3 of us, them 2 watch more anime than I do, but yet they knew this trope off the bat with another show based off Bleach. And yet, the funny thing is, I'm making reference to Dead Mount Deathman and Hell's Paradise. And the funny thing is, it's nothing new. But yet, they're playing it in a way where they're kind of subverting expectations. The first thing Deon said when we saw Shy get stabbed and she's bleeding out is like, oh, they're going there. They didn't go fully there, but they did go there. So you kind of can tell they're trying to. It's the old shock factor. It's the old creep factor. That's not something you can do very easily when you haven't earned it. And essentially, you haven't earned it. Because Shy's never been in any other danger outside this point. In the first year, she was in danger, but she still had friends to help her. Here, she's in danger, but she has nobody to help her. It's all on her. I'm looking forward to the next episode. I'm looking forward to 22. Because 22 is going to be the linchpin. If 22 is good, strong, then I'm not worried about the rest of the end of this season. 22 is kind of man. Oh, I'm definitely worried.
Bro, if the next episode is as good as this one, we gonna say that they got paid well.
Oh, absolutely. Paid well, and that check cleared 2 times over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what's going on right now because I don't get the thing where we're going to talk about this next week, but I don't get the thing where you're doing the thing where the last couple episodes are the strongest of the season, or the middle of the season has the strongest episode. Then the next time you see anything strong is at the end. Like, I don't get that. Have a cohesive thing where the story and the animations, everything kind of runs across the season. But this was episode 71 of the Anime Dojo. We'll be back next week with episode 72, with episode 22 of Shy and episode 9 of the Anime Dojo. We only have 4 weeks left, ladies and gentlemen, before the end of the summer season. And then we get to the springs. Then we get to the fall season. Oh, summer has been kind of lukewarm. Spring is about to heat up pretty fast. Because we're gonna have a lot of bangers coming through. A lot of shows coming back. Things we didn't expect, including things that we saw. Mocha Punch, for examples, coming in October. Or not Mocha Punch. Mecha Udon's coming in October. We saw it Anime Matsuri. We're getting back Soul 11. So we'll see how this end of the summer season ends. Is this going to bring hype to the spring or is it not? We'll see. I do thank Chris and Deon for joining me. I do thank you for watching. I'll have this up on Spotify right after processes, up on YouTube on Thursday. I do thank you for watching. Hope you did enjoy and hope you for next time. See you.
peace.
Yes.